Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name is Helen Webster and I am with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our inspirational guest today is the wonderful
Sheila Byrne.
Yes, amazing. Thank you, Sheila, for joining us tonight. I'm a little bit delighted. So we've wanted you to come on for ages and having the right time because you're such a busy lady as well. And I always put a little thing about who's coming on, and I was thinking, she's inspirational, she's amazing and things like that. But the word that popped into my head about you, Sheila, is determined. So I put the determined. Oh no, not determined. Dedicated. Dedicated the book. I put the dedicated Sheila Byrne. So I'm going to call you the dedicated Sheila Byrne tonight.
Well, I am determined.
You are determined as well, yes, and you're inspiration and all the others as well. But yeah, and we'll find out loads more about you as we go along. Okay, for those who don't know you already. So first, we do a shout out to the kids. Okay, so any little people who've been amazing this week, have they won something or have they done something? And I know there's lots of little people in your life, Sheila. So have any of your little people done anything amazing that we can just give them a little shout out?
Many of my little people. Actually, yeah. So one of our little girls attends Hope Street sessions with her aunt. And last night, her auntie came with a little gift to say thank you for including her in the sessions all year. And her name's Summer. Also, there's another little girl who attends all our sessions, and her name's Kendall, and she calls it Kendall's Hope Street. So quite sweet. So they're just amazing little girls because they're around people who are afflicted with mental health conditions, yet come along and support, and it's just lovely. So it's breaking that stigma around mental health at the same time.
Yeah, and then it's lovely for all the other adults to see when you see a little person, you can't help but smile. You the things that they come out with and stuff. So that's cool. San, any little people?
Just that I know an hour for others had the kids doing carols, singing, and that in the Cotton Exchange, and it looked lovely. I didn't get down to see there this year, but they put it online, and it was just lovely. But I said, I can't watch the kids sing carols because I get so tearful, when you see kids singing carols and that. But that's it for this week for me. So
yeah, and I'm the same. I get that. So Scarlett is one. So I want to shout out to our lovely little Whack-a-Ball gang who. I'm just going to say good evening to Gertie Robinson. Okay, so I miss you. Okay, so shout out to the kids. So Scarlett and the Whack-a-Ball team have all been in today, and they've had the Christmas party, and they all came in little Christmas jumpers, which was dead cute. And it was really funny. So last week I was like, what food do you like? Because we have, they have particular foods. So it was pepperoni pizza, normal pizza, chicken nuggets, Greg's sausage rolls, pigs in blanket I had to get. And what was the other thing I had to get? Oh, and chocolate cake. Anyway, I went over to Iceland because they told me to go to Iceland and buy these particular brands because they're the ones that they eat. And I was like, right, goes over. So I thought, well, there's a chocolate cake. And it took 4 hours to defrost. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I thought, I can't buy that. So anyway, they had this ice cream cake. So I thought, well, I'll buy that. So I went in and then I was thinking, oh, my days, I've got the wrong type of food. And, if they don't like this particular food. Anyway, one of our so he's 14 and he normally comes, our session's an hour, and he normally comes for about 35 40 minutes and then he goes, I've had enough, and he goes home, and that's cool. Didn't want to go home tonight, stayed for all of it, was made up, had 2 pieces of the ice cream cake, and it was him who wanted the chocolate cake, and I said, oh, I'm dead sorry, mate. And he went, I've loved it. And he joined in all the party games and things that we played, so I was absolutely delighted, and his nan was made up. So big shout out to Tom, and the massive shout out to Scarlett. So I say to her, what amazing things have you done this week? So I can give you a shout out on the radio. So she says, I said, hurry up, move. I said, I've got to go on the radio. So she goes, you haven't asked me what my amazing thing is. I said, oh, what's your amazing thing this week? So she says, I let Holly play hide and seek because she really wanted to. So there you go. So shout out to Scarlett for letting Holly play hide and seek.
The small wins, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah. So what success have you had personally this week, Sam?
Well, oh, I've got a couple of successes actually, to be honest with you. I've had a bit of a trauma today with my car repair thing, which wasn't a success at all. But they did say they couldn't get me a car, got a hire car with my insurance. So I've had a hire car, which was sent back yesterday. Went in the car today. Half the work hasn't been done by the repair people. I'm turning my hair out. And I thought, oh God, I can't drive the car. And so they've said, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. Anyway, look, I said, I really need a vehicle for my job, etc., etc. So they said, now they've found one.
Oh, miraculously, under the tree.
After they said there was wasn't one to be had for some time till after Christmas. So thank God for that. So I'll feel better when I've got it, but I just feel a bit relieved, really. So, and the car's going away again, and hopefully they're going to fix what they said they do, which is good. And my son went to help my mum get all the stuff down from the loft today and turned up with a whole tin of gluten-free. I've opened the tin to show you.
Is there anything left?
Almond biscuits. Yeah, I can't turn them or they'll fall over the laptop.
Did your mum make them?
Yeah, she makes them all.
Boss, isn't she?
She makes everything, and she's done a tin for our with normal biscuits in, and a tin of gluten-free ones, and she does the same with minces, and she does the same with the Christmas cake, which no one eats.
Okay.
I can't tell now because it's been going on for 20 odd years.
Well done to your mum.
Yeah, and
Sheila, what amazing thing has happened to you this week personally?
Oh, wow. It's all been going on this week. So on Monday, we submitted our bid to win a contract with Lancashire Care Foundation Trust.
Fingers round all this sound, she.
Yeah. That was the first thing that happened this week. I received an introduction to West Lancs Council Borough. So we're working alongside West Lancs Council now with our services. I've received some funding from them to apply for. So they're directing me in terms of which funding to go for. So I've had about 2 pots of funding from them to apply for. Right. So big shout out to West Lancs.
Yeah.
And I've also had news that we've got our property ready to open the premises. So it's going to be Hope Street Peer Support Community Cafe, which is a hub where all our services will be available to people across the Northwest.
Amazing. So we're going to find out about that later. We're going to go into detail about that. What's happened to just you? Just like, have you had your hair blown? Have you bought all your Christmas shopping?
Gosh. Do you know what? What's happened to me? I've had a day sitting on the sofa.
Yeah. Okay. Well done, love. Good.
Do you know what? I could have gone round and done the Hope Street Coffee afternoon, but I decided that today I just needed some time for me.
Brilliant.
And I took that time for me.
Well done, you.
That's a big win.
That's a massive win. It's a massive win. Brilliant. And it's a massive win that you've got the people who can carry on without you doing all the other activities and things, which is brilliant, which we'll come to again at the end. So my massive success this week was I went to see Dreamgirls last night. Wow. Just unbelievable. The girl who played her voice was just unbelievable, and because people haven't been in the theatre for a long time, and it was stop-start. It was the first night of the show last night, and it should have been coming and going and stuff like that, and she belts it out, and the hairs on the back of my neck went all like that. I went all goosies in my arms. I got dead emotional, and everyone was like got up on their feet and were like just clapping, and the atmosphere, it was just amazing. So massive shout out to everyone in the Dreamgirls cast, because they were just unbelievable. So Dom says, what about your afternoon walk? Was that not a success, she?
Yeah, it was lovely. Like we both set out for a nice walk to have some quality time together and blow the cobwebs off.
Yeah.
It started off with Dom receiving a call with regards to his business. Cool. And then I thought, well, whilst he's on the call, I'll ring my mum and check in on mum and dad, because Dad's got Lewy bodies, which is a form of Parkinson's,
Oh, yeah.
and that ended up being about a 20-minute conversation. So the pair of us spent best part of the walk.
Went for a walk on your phone.
Yeah, on our phones, which wasn't the idea.
Wasn't the plan. Yeah. Okay. So we've had good weeks this week then. Okay. So we're going to play this or that. Okay. So Sheila, I'm going to ask you and Sandra. Sandra's going to ask you, all right, you and me. Okay. Do we prefer this or do we prefer that? Okay. So Sandra, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go second today.
Are you going to go second today? Okay. All right. I'm going to go first. Okay. Sheila, tent or caravan?
Tent.
Tent? Yes. Sandra, neither. 5-star hotel.
No, caravans are cool. I like caravans because they've got a shower and a toilet. Now, a caravan, a nice caravan in the south of France, where they have them in pine woods, and you can just walk down to the beach or Biarritz on the coast, the west coast, rather. Sorry.
I'd probably go tent as well. I'd go with Sheila and go tent. Yeah, camping. Go on, Sam.
Proper bed as well.
You can all sorts of mod cons now in tent, you know.
I have an airbed. Princess's bed.
Yeah, we have as well.
Yeah.
Go on, Sam.
Oh yeah. Okay then. Sheila, boots or flat shoes?
Boots.
I'm boots too.
What sort of boots?
Skinny boots, proper long boots.
Oh yeah. Okay. So if I was wearing a pair of jeans, do you mean, and I was going out, would I wear a pair of flats or would I wear a pair of boots?
No, I just mean overall in life, boots or flat shoes.
Yeah, probably boots. And Trisha Moorcroft says defo caravan for her as well.
Oh yes, she's like me. She's exactly like me. Respect.
Yeah.
She likes everything just right.
Okay. Sheila, running or yoga?
Running.
San?
Yoga. And let me tell you.
Because you run like Phoebe.
Yeah, because I run like Phoebe, friends. Some of my muscles were a little sore today after going to my exercise. I thought, what's up with? And I thought, exercises with Helen yesterday morning at 6:30. I can't come tomorrow, Helen, because I'll be getting the bus to work, and I won't get in for 9 if I do that first.
Well done. You've gone a bit like funny. Your internet's gone a bit funny.
Mine has. Okay.
Yeah, you're just gone a bit like fuzzy. So you might have to go to the lounge. Okay. And running for me, Sheila. I'm the same as you, running. Yeah. I do like a bit of yoga, but definitely running for me.
I like to feel like I've had a good workout and a good sweat.
Yeah. I'm the same, yeah.
Wherever I live, don't we?
Yeah.
Wherever I am.
That's all right. And what about you, San? What's your next one?
Continental quilt or sheet blankets and bedspread? Random.
Continental quilt.
Me too.
I think that's dead tricky because I mean, for me, on my bed, an ease of making it than a quilt. But I think there's nothing nicer than when you get in and you're like tucked in a sheet. You're like when you stay in hospital and they make your bed properly and you get in a sheet. Then I love it.
Okay.
But in the house, quilt, because it's much easier to just throw over, isn't it?
My next one's blue, by the way.
Okay, my last one. Okay. Sheila, reading or podcasts?
Do you know, a while ago, I would have definitely gone for reading. However, now, because I don't get the time, it's more about podcasts and audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because I can do that whilst I'm on the go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love reading. I much prefer to read a book, but I do listen to audiobooks a lot more and podcasts because, as you say, it's a time thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I love the luxury of reading a book. What about you, Hal?
Excuse me. I was having a sneeze. Reading for me 100% because I don't take the words in. Although I got the train to work because I'd left the car on Saturday night. So I got the train on Monday morning. I got the 6 o'clock train and I listened to a podcast on my way in and loved it.
Did you?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
There's
So
loads of really good ones around. We had a guest speaker who's got a good podcast out at the moment. Paul Cope, inspirational transformational coach.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
I think there's loads of floating about, isn't there? Lots of people are bringing them out and stuff. And
yeah.
So yeah. Go on, San, last one.
Okay. Miniature horse or red fox panda? You know what they are?
Yeah, red fox panda, hands down.
What?
Excuse me, I'm going to have to go and get a tissue. Red fox panda, hand down for me, yeah. But I need to go and get a tissue to blow my nose.
Me too. You know what they are, Sheila? They're the most gorgeous animals going. Do you not know what they are?
No.
Okay.
Have you got a picture of them, or should I Google it?
I'm going to send you. Yeah, well, if you Google it, we'll lose you forever. Hang on a minute, because that happens on here. I'm going to, well, if I send you a picture to your phone, you can have a look at it. Red fox panda. Guess what I'm doing, Helen? I'm looking
the
for
cutest things ever
now, and I'm sending.
Good to hear. I left my ears in.
All right, okay, that's clever.
It's a good job you weren't talking about me, isn't it?
I'm sending it to. We're on Facebook, Helen. It'd be a bit bad. Red fox panda. I can't wait to see Dream Girls now. You know, on Monday.
Oh, San, you'll absolutely love it. Honestly, it's unbelievable.
Right, okay. Can anyone see that?
Oh wow!
Right.
Do you know what that looks like? It looks like my daughter's dog, which is a Pomeranian.
Yeah. Okay. The Pomeranian does look a bit like one because I've seen them.
Dead cute.
It's the cutest animal at Chester Zoo. Honest to God, I just adore them. But then, hang on a minute. Let me just quick get a miniature horse on. You know, the
miniature horses are like that cute as well, aren't they? But we need to hurry up because we need to find out about Sheila.
Hang on a minute. Just let me get a miniature donkey dead quick. Well, do you know how people do corporate gifts, Hal? I live in hope that someone gets me. They're not miniature donkeys. There's one. That's someone. If someone gave me a miniature donkey or a bit, I'd be made up. I've asked for one.
We're just saying to everybody, okay? Anyone listening?
If I tell everyone, one will appear.
When we've got our premises, San, and we've got a big open space, we'll have them running around.
Miniature, and I'll be like, who got these animals? They need mucking out every day. Whose idea was this? Okay, never mind, Sheila. You can see the tone of the show now.
Okay, so Sheila is our guest today. Sheila has Hope Street. And do you want to introduce a little bit more, or do we just throw it over to Sheila to just go with the flow and talk about it?
Well, I'd like to say a few words about Sheila, which makes it a surprise to you. So, I know Sheila through Dom, your husband, who commented on her before. And I just think you've been on an amazing personal journey. You've achieved, you've just been, I think you're an inspirational person because you went through something, and then what you did was in the end, you didn't let it beat you. You got through it. You acknowledged some of the issues from what happened to you. And now all you've done is help other people. You know, you said, enough, there isn't support out there. I'm going to create this. This was a vision you had, and you just changed your life, but not only your life, everyone else's, didn't you? So I don't know how much you do want to share about your journey. That's entirely up to you. But I think our viewers and listeners would love to hear about it because it's very inspirational.
Yeah, so in 2016, well, it started back in 2015, really. I was going through a few issues at work. So I was being bullied in the workplace, which lasted about 10 months. And I took out an informal grievance with the workplace through HR because I was advised to by the manager. Mm-hmm. And because I did that, she basically started to make my life hell. and I was on a 0 hours contract in the afternoon, but a part-time contract in the morning. So what she did is she took all my working hours off me, which affected my livelihood. So I only had a portion of the pay coming in to the house, and I had quite a few things going out of my bank account where I relied on that money. So it affected my livelihood. But then not only did it affect my livelihood, it started to affect me going into work. So I used to be frightened going into work, and I'd go into work crying every day. I'd go into the toilets whilst I was in work and cry. And I was working in a prison environment. So it was really hard trying to put this mask on every day going into work, that everything was all right when I was dealing with the men. Because you can't be deemed as being weak and vulnerable when you're dealing with hard knock prisoners. So I had to put this face on every day in work. But then eventually in January 2016, I just broke. I couldn't take any more. And I was taken into the office to be sanctioned once again, basically victimised. And that was when I had the nervous breakdown. I don't remember leaving work that day. I don't remember driving home. And I'm lucky to have got home in one piece. I could have crashed the car or anything the state I was in.
Yeah. And you know, Sheila,
however, when I did get home, I was in the security of my own home, but I couldn't speak. And Dom took me he tried to get me an appointment at the doctor's. He couldn't, so he took me down to the walk-in. And when I was assessed, my heart rate had tripled. And because it was a weekend, they couldn't do anything for me. All they could do was give me diazepam to calm me over the weekend until I could get the doctor's appointment. So by the time Monday came, I was completely out of it. Ended up getting to the doctors and being prescribed an antidepressant called sertraline and being signed off work for 4 weeks. Now, when I left the workplace that day, she said, the manager said, "I'll ring you later to see if you're okay, Sheila." And I said, "Don't bother. That's the sanction of my home, and that's my safe haven." So what did she do? She did no more than ring my home. So that sent me into complete turmoil and panic. And I didn't leave the house for months after that. I didn't answer the phone. I wouldn't step outside the door. I wouldn't see anyone. And Dom's mum would come and drop parcels off and leave them on the doorstep because I wouldn't let anyone in the house. At this time, I was barely able to walk a few meters without Dom's help. I became incontinent. So every time I tried to leave the house, I would lose control of my functioning. I was relying on Dom to bathe me and relying on him to do my hair, which, by the way, was absolutely shocking. Eventually, I let my mum come to see me. And, so my mum said I looked like a drug addict when she came to see me.
And Sheila, was that due to the medication that they'd given you, or was it a mixture of both?
The way the medication made me zonked, but the way I couldn't walk and everything, my body had shut down.
Right. Okay.
Because my body couldn't take any more. So it completely shut down. So when I say my body couldn't take any more, that one incident was not one incident, but, that whole time bullying was the straw that broke the camel's back, because I'd been through that much trauma in my life that my body couldn't take anymore. My body shut down. So you've heard of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Yeah. So basically, I'd been through pretty much every one of those ACEs.
And you know, Sheila, it's we've had other people who've been on an amazing journey who are really inspirational, because Angela Preston's been on our show. She had a terrible time, didn't she? Horrendous. And that was through work. Exactly the same, like a bullying situation, you know. And there's a lot of people who are successful who do things to help and empower others who've had a horrendous experience. So I think it's fantastic. I really, really do. And so you got from where you are to setting up a charity and everything, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, actually, I wasn't the person who had the idea. It was Dom. Yeah. He's the one who had the idea.
Just so we can clarify, Dom is Sheila's husband, Dominic. So Sandra and I both know Dom, and we know Sheila, and Dom is an amazing human being. So when we're talking about Dom, we're talking about Dom, Sheila's husband, just if anyone was wondering who Dom was and stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry, Sheila, go on.
Sorry, Sheila. So you were poorly and everything after the medication, and your body had shut down. And then how did you get back on your feet?
Do you know what? It took me about a year before I went back to university, because I was in the middle of studying.
Right.
My PGCE at that time. And basically, I couldn't continue with the studying because they'd taken all my teaching hours off me. So they prevented me from continuing with my study. Plus, I wasn't well enough. So I had to stop. I had to put my qualification on hold for a year whilst I did some type of recovery. Then I started going back to university and continuing with my studies. And it was just like, you know, plodding on, but having no trust. Going to uni, having medication changes the whole time. And my body was just all over the place. And I just couldn't function properly on my studies. So I had to take more time out. So it took me longer to study than it should have done, really. And I'm trying to think now. So during that time, I just encountered so many other difficulties, but eventually the university found me a placement within the college where I was doing my studies, which was Hugh Bird College. And I was put into a department, working in the special needs department, Skills for Life. And I absolutely thrived. I loved it. And it made me realise that the issue wasn't around me. It was around the environment I lived in and people who were around me. So I had to do something about that. So I kind of just shut everyone out and only had the people who were there for me when I was ill in my life. And that's the first way I dealt with it. Then, alongside my studies, I decided that I was Dom was going to John Haynes Coaching, International Coaching Academy, and I didn't want to be in the house on my own. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to come with you then, aren't I? So I ended up going and being in tears the whole time. Yeah. But after a couple of weeks of going, I started to get into the groove of it. I started to actually believe in myself again and started to present in front of a group. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. I can't believe it. Yeah. But I was around people who were like myself.
And who wanted you to do well.
They encouraged you. Yeah. We all encouraged each other. And it was lovely and that's when I started to trust people again. When I was in that environment.
When you were, sorry, She, you know, when you were taking your medication and you weren't well and you weren't leaving the house or anything like that, was there any support there for you, like, you know, with groups and therapy and stuff like that, or was it just medicate? We'll just medicate it and we'll leave it, or did they look after you in any other way? Were there any other services prescribed to you?
I was put on a waiting list. For CMHT, so Community Mental Health Team. However, when I went there, they said, well, we're going to try this counselling with you. And I said, well, to be fair, I've tried counselling before and it hasn't worked. So they went, no, this is person-centred counselling. You've got to give it a try. So I said, okay, then it must be something. It must be different to what counselling I've had before, person-centred. They're going to talk to me and I'm going to talk to them. We're going to have a two-way conversation. Well, it transpired that it was a waste of time. It just made me more exhausted because I was sitting there talking, but they weren't giving me anything back, no strategies. So there was that. So then I finished that and I had to go back on a waiting list. And then my paperwork got lost. So 12 months without any more support because the paperwork got lost. And during this time, my medication was getting messed around with, and I was put on a medication called metazapine, which I have a bad relationship with food. I've always struggled with eating and a form of anorexia. So body dysmorphia and everything. So I said, well, see, this medication you're putting me on, is it going to put weight on me? Because if it puts weight on me, that's going to make my mental health worse. No, not going to put weight on you. Lo and behold, 2.5 stone later, so my mental health declined. I ended up in 2017, I think it was, trying to throw myself off a bridge. Dom actually, I took myself out in the middle of the night. Dom actually followed me, and I didn't know. I thought he was asleep and I could sneak out and just get it over with. He followed me, and then when he stopped me, I tried to throw myself in front of Warburton's wagon. And when he stopped me from doing that, apparently I tried to throw myself in front of an SUV. But I was intent on doing something that night because I was existing, not living. Yeah. And I was getting no support whatsoever. And then I had all this weight on me, which was the worst thing that could have happened. And in terms of services, I couldn't access any services because Dom was working, and the only services were daytime services. Yeah. There was nothing for anybody around of a night time. So,
and was this one of the reasons? So when you were saying about Dom, it was Dom's idea to sort of start hosting things because you've lived it. And Dom's lived it with you and supported you in everything that you've done. So you're coming from a two-way pronged attack sort of thing. So you're coming from you've lived it and you can experience and sort of can empathise with the people in that way. But then you've got Dom who's lived with it, so he's there for family members and other people who've lived in it, and to sort of explain to other people as well. It is the person with the mental health, that struggles, but also when you're looking after somebody, because you just want to care for them because you love them, don't you? And you want to do the best for them. So the services that you provide. So I'm just mindful of time that I just want to, because Hope Street does so much. I want to say, well, this is how Hope Street started and the amazing journey that Hope Street's taken.
Yeah, so basically Dom came up with the idea that we're going to open this support group because there's nothing in affluent areas. So that's how Hope Street came about. But Dom said, I need your support in finding the premises. So we went around and viewed a few premises, and I said, it can't be too big and it can't be clinical. So there was so many criteria that I wanted to look at, and we found the ideal premises. And we were working with a company called Community Restart, which no longer exists, because I received a little bit of support off them to go to exercise classes to try and lose the weight I'd put on. So we worked with them and they gave us £250 to pay for the first 3 months rent. And then after that, Dom continued to pay the rent out of his wages.
Isn't he?
Yeah. Just to make sure that nobody in the community went through what we went through. So the services when they began were supposed to be guest speakers once a week. Yeah. And it was supposed to be for people caring for someone with a mental health condition and the person suffering. Well, it transpired that a lot of people who were caring for the people with a mental health condition come along. And then because the person's receiving the support, they no longer want the carer to come along. So they come independently and they blossom. So you'll find that what happens is the carers come along and it's only a matter of weeks and they don't come anymore because the people want to come on their own and be independent.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, just develop independence.
Yeah.
So, we do that. So that's how we started off. But then bit by bit, we were like, I was going, I want to bring a bit more in. I want to bring, this, that, and the other end. So it ended up that I said, I'm writing an emotional intelligence course because that's one of the things that helped me out of the dark place. So I wrote an emotional intelligence course and ran it for the group. And what happened was people were starting to improve. Their mental health was starting to improve by learning about themselves. So I've run that course several times now, and the results it's having is amazing. The people are actually making progress by becoming more emotionally intelligent because there's a correlation between low EQ is emotional intelligence, and mental health conditions, alongside Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where if the needs aren't met in childhood, and the basic needs, then they're going to be affected with outcomes, which are the ACEs for the rest of their lives. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be that way because you can change your destiny, just like I have.
Yeah. So, and you went to you went on the SSE program, didn't you? So the School of Social Entrepreneurs. So I've been on the program, and then I said to Dom, I said, you really need to get Hope Street because again, we were talking about like-minded people before. It's people in a room who are doing all these wonderful, amazing things and wacky ideas and stuff in the communities and helping each other. And I know that you applied to the SSE and you were successful and you got on the program. So what did you take to the program?
So what did I take from the program?
No, what did you take to it? What idea did you pitch? Did you take your emotional intelligence, or did you take your Hope Street, and did they help you develop onto?
Took Hope Street to SSE, and developed it from there. And by this time, I was already bringing holistic therapies in, doing the emotional intelligence. So it was a case of what I took there was what I wanted to do in terms of the business, wanted to support people to recover from mental health and people, their carers as well. But from a lived experience perspective, what I didn't know was going to come along was a social prescribing model where lived experience and person-centered care was going to be at the forefront. And that has helped me to develop the services even further. So now what we're doing, we do everything that the community asks for.
Sorry, She, just for social prescribing is basically, so if you go to the doctors, for instance, and you wanted to lose weight, a bit like what Sheila was saying before, rather than giving medical or medicine, they might give you the gym pass. Or if you're feeling that, if you're struggling with your mental health, and they might say, well, exercise and being out and about is an amazing thing. So instead of us giving you an antidepressant, we'll give you the gym pass. So they're trying to match people with services rather than go down the medication and leaving them route. They're trying to sort of bring in, and social prescribing for me is just one of the greatest things that's ever been invented, and one of the most simplest things because there's so many people out there offering all these wonderful services. So how did you get on with your social prescribing thing then? So
we were put on the social prescribing platform in 2019, and that's where we received some of our referrals. We've had meetings with our GP and the practice manager, and they are fully behind what we do. So now what I've done is gone to the next step, where I've applied for a contract with the LCFT, Lancashire Foundation Healthcare Trust, basically to provide our services in a hub, and it'll be hybrid, virtual and face-to-face. And that's where we come to next, because I thought, well, I'm not going to wait for the money off the contract because it may never come. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to open the hub. So I've secured the premises, which is.
But haven't you been doing a bit of fundraising, just like previously? You've just done.
Yeah. Fundraising. So we sell our hoodies, which are the Hope Street hoodies.
Yeah,
wherever it is there.
Beautifully modelled.
So we sell our hoodies. We had a do the other week where we had loads of prizes donated from local businesses. There's a Christmas tree in the green room in Ormskirk where you can have your photograph taken for a fee, and the donations go to Hope Street. We did a carol concert at the weekend where all the children were involved in a church in Halsall. Who want us to go back because they loved it that much. But it's not like the traditional carols we sing. It's more upbeat and positive carols, really upbeat songs.
Yeah.
We're doing another service in the Stanley in Bearscough next week. There's just so much going on. We're singing around the Christmas tree and around Ormskirk as well. Yeah. On the 23rd, I've had flyers made with the QR code to coincide with COVID.
Yeah.
But like COVID has really brought mental health to the forefront. Having this hub is going to make a massive difference.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be able to provide our services every day and when people are at the most vulnerable. So we're going to close that gap that's there. So there's a gap in services because mental health only happens from 9 till 5, doesn't it?
Yeah, on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday.
But we all know that people with mental health conditions often self-medicate. Yeah. So when the drinking is going to be the time where they become like Superman, and that's when they will attempt to take their own life. So that's what I found was happening. And there's often a pattern to this. If things are going to happen, it's generally that time when there's no services available. And it is a cry for help. Most of the time, people don't want to die. It's because they see no other way out. Yeah. I saw no other way out because I was lying in bed every single day, just not wanting to live because I had no quality of life.
Yeah. And I think having your story from, such a really bad experience, you were a happy-go-lucky sort of person, something happened in work, which, and then the knock-on effect of that happening in work to everything else that's gone on, to then being in the deepest, downest place, to then becoming, who you were, when you started. So when you and Dom started Hope Street, I was like, it's an amazing idea, and I'm looking at from when you started Hope Street to where you are now. You've gone up probably another 6 or 7 levels. You've gone even higher in the way you are and the way you're, projecting yourself and that's because you're happy and yes. What you're doing is making such a massive difference to so many people, isn't it?
No, in the beginning when we started, I was the wallflower. I'm like the Pied Piper now with with the group. If I don't go to things, people are like, they don't go. So I don't tell them when I'm going on holiday because otherwise people won't attend the session. So I have to say nothing. I mean, it's lovely, it's flattering, but I can't be there 24 hours a day.
And again, like you said before, it was great to just lie on the couch and do nothing because you've got to still have your own self-care, and a lot that happens, doesn't it? When you're helping so many people, you forget about your own self-care. But Christine Penman's listening, and she says, as you know, this topic is very close to my heart. She'll happily offer raffle prizes to you, Sheila. Fletchers, and she said, you're brilliant, Sheila. What a true inspiration.
Yeah.
So Christine has got Fletchers in Waterloo, and Christine's been a guest, which we're going on Saturday. Yeah. And she's she always gives prizes out to people and stuff. And I went to see her yesterday, and we were having a conversation about people's mental health and how things change. And if somebody's not happy, then change something for them if you can. And we were just saying, if you're going to work and you're not happy, then get another job. reevaluate and get another job. And
one thing I'll add to that, Helen, is I was very unhappy going into work, but the type of person I am was, I'm not going to let them beat me. But you know what? In hindsight, I should have walked away. And if anybody said to me now, I'm being bullied in work, I'd say to them, walk away.
Get out. Yeah.
Get out of there. No job is worth it. Don't stay in a job if it's doing what it did to me. It's no job's worth it.
A lot that goes on, particularly in the education sector.
Terrible.
Yeah. And you hear all types of all different things, and there'll be people on here who can give examples from other industries and things as well. Because that was my background, you do hear of it so much. And I always say to people, go somewhere where you wanted. Go somewhere. And what you just said, and Helen and I were talking about this last week, people flourishing in the right environment. When you're in the right environment, or in your case, you've created an environment to support others, you're just flourishing and you've got so much to give. And you were talking about hindsight. When you have hindsight, you can see things with clarity. But when you're in that situation, you can't, can you? And it's being able to, and sometimes just help from others. And I think you're offering help to other people now. And when they see you, they'll see you standing there successful, giving talks, etc. And you can say, well, no, actually, I was in this situation, and other people wouldn't believe it. There is a way out. You can improve your situation in life, definitely.
Do you know one of the big things I've learned throughout my journey is accepting what I've been through that I can't change.
Yep.
And not to dwell on it, because if you dwell on it, it makes you feel worse. But the most important thing I would say is learn to love yourself for who you are.
100%.
Because if you do not find that love within yourself and you criticize yourself all the time, then it makes you ill.
Yeah.
Because
I think the other thing as well we were talking about was, so Brian's listening in, Brian Quinn, our gorgeous Brian Quinn.
Hi,
And
Brian.
Brian's, and he says, brilliantly inspirational work, Sheila and Dom. And Brian sort of comes on and he works with all our young, he works with a lot of young people. TPM, I say it all the time, and TPM are phenomenal because of Brian Quinn, because he has a vision, and and he's been through things in his life and stuff like that. And I think when you've lived with something, or something's happened to you, you want the best for everybody else. And I think you've got to realize is that you're not the only one who's going through it. There's other people, because sometimes when you're a little bit sad or a little bit unhappy, or if you really struggle, sometimes you think, oh, it's only me. And I think with you, Sheila, when people come into Hope Street, I think one of the releases and you see is that everybody in there's got a story. So you haven't got to pretend to be somebody else, and you haven't got to mask it, and you haven't got to do. So they can go in and say, oh, you know what, I've had a nightmare of a day. And that's okay. It's okay to have a bad day, and it's okay to feel sad. I think lots of people are like, you've got to be happy all the time, and you've got to be this and you've got to be that. It's okay to feel sad.
It's okay one of the things I say is really important to take note of is if you are happy, you laugh. So happiness is an emotion. Yeah. If you are angry, you'll have an outburst. If you are sad, another emotion, you will cry. It's a release. It's a form of release, like laughter is. So do it. We're taught from an early age to not to cry. Okay. There's nothing wrong with crying. We should be teaching our children to release their emotions.
Yeah.
It's
I used to put Beaches on. Beaches, the film. I used to put the film Beaches on and just have a good cry. Yeah.
Totally. Beaches is an incredible film.
So for Hope Street then, what's the future for Hope Street? What's going to be happening? And I know you were talking about premises, so.
So the future for Hope Street is we do what the community asks for. Okay, we don't do what we think the community wants. We ask the community what they want. So they asked for music, so we brought carousel in. So they do singing, dancing, play percussion instruments. They do that every week. We've got an LGBTQIA2+ group beginning on the 10th of July. And we're starting a group for menopausal symptoms as well, because what people don't realize is menopause is a horrific time. It's a horrific stage in some people's lives. Some people breeze through it. Some people end up with really severe mental health conditions when they're going through menopause. So it's about having a safe place for people to talk when they're going through it with like-minded people, or with people who've been through it. So the other thing is dementia-friendly groups. So having my dad, who's got Parkinsonian's dementia, it's important for me to have a place for them to go to. But not only for them to go to mix with other people, because it doesn't just affect the person with dementia, it affects the whole family. So I don't know whether you saw my post on Facebook last week about the journey with my dad with dementia and how it's impacted upon my mum. Well, it's impacting upon my mum on a daily basis. And people think dementia is just memory. It's not just memory. It's all the body shutting down. The muscles not working any longer because the brain's not sending the message. So there's more to it than that. And I want a place where I can bring people who have dementia and their carers, where they can have a nice time together.
Yeah, exactly. And the carers have become a support network for each other, don't they? And they become that listening and hearing for each other, don't they? And it becomes that, as you were saying before, the safe space to be able to go. And as well, friendships, I always... That's why, with our little people, our little neurodiverse people, it's a sense of belonging. It's somewhere where they can go and they can be themselves, and they're accepted. And, some of the kids who we work with, and they come in and, they go, oh, they would never do that anywhere else. And I say, well, that's because they're happy, they're cool, they're in a safe space, and they know that if, they were to have a little meltdown or something like that, well, then that's okay, and then, nothing's going to happen.
It's just like, as I said before about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. My aim is to try and break that circle of events. The cycle by putting something in place. So during pregnancy, to break that cycle. There's also an increase on infant fatalities. So my aim is to do something there as well, put something in place for things going on to prevent that from happening, because even though Ormskirk's an affluent place, there's still pockets of deprivation. I've already also started another business with a lady called Margaret Bell and Joanne Moffat, and that's called positive thinking. So basically that's an eating disorder, but we're coming away from the negative language of eating disorders and calling it positive, fresh thinking. It's called. So that's going to tackle the eating disorder.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And again, it's a lived experience, isn't it? And lots of people think, I know, I know people who've had eating disorders in the past, and they're flourishing now, and they're doing amazing. And again, they can be inspirations to people. And it's not just teenage girls who suffer with an eating disorder. It can happen to anybody at any particular time. And I think, again, it's the education and awareness around people, isn't it? And I think places like Hope Street and the other business that you're going to be doing is educating and raising awareness of. But we were talking, you go on a couple of retreats as well, don't you? Give us a little quick thing about your retreat.
Do you know what? They're amazing. We've had people come on the camping retreats. When you said about what you like, camp.
That's why I threw that in the tent or the caravan.
So I'm going to get you along on it, Sandra. So we go and we have people who play guitar, and we have quite a lot of talented people at Hope Street.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah. It's certainly not me.
It's not me. It's not me at all, Sheila.
So we all come together and we sing around the campfire. I know it sounds a bit geeky and a bit else and stuff, but it's not like that at all. It's a good laugh, and everybody ends up joining us on the campsite. Brilliant. We walk along the river, we go out for meals, we go walking up tarns and swimming in waterfalls and swimming in the tarns, doing cold water dipping, meditation, yoga. The list is just endless. There was one guy who said, I never thought I'd go to a restaurant again. He said, he's a recovering addict. And he's like, I never thought I'd actually go to a restaurant again. And he was like, this is amazing what you've done for me, Sheila. And I'm just like, do you know what? You deserve it.
And how beautiful is that? I mean, you can't put a price on that. You know, when people say, you know, like little wins, and you go, oh, you know, he said he could never go to restaurants again. And people go, oh, yeah, that's okay. But when you understand what that actually means for that guy to be able to go to a restaurant with his friends and not be left out and, you know, think to himself, I'm never going to be able to do that. And then he's achieved that. And if he can achieve going to a restaurant with his friends, what else can he achieve?
Oh, you know, he's doing this guy.
So he'll just fly, won't he now?
Well, he is doing. This guy came to us, used to be all over the place, never used to talk to anyone. Now he's got a friendship group and he engages with every single activity. And we joke with him and we say to him, you'd come to the opening of an envelope, you. Because I can tell you, he comes to everything, he engages in everything. We've actually got him, we've got him sorted in terms of coming to a doctor closest to his home. We've got his benefits sorted because he's been living on the bones of his backside.
Yeah.
And the guy is flourishing. So that's why Maslow's hierarchy of needs is important. If they haven't got the food in the cupboard, then what's the point in working on the cognition? You know, you've got to get everything.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we're slowly, quickly running out of time because I think we could talk about it for ages and ages and ages. And when your new services come on, we'll get you back on, Sheila. We'll talk about all of them.
We'll share the details of Hope Street. So if anyone's been watching or listening, we'll put all that on the Facebook page how you can access it, etc. Or if you want to help them out with anything as well.
Definitely. So shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups that we're going to give a quick shout out to? So San, have you got any grown-ups you want to give a quick shout out to?
Well, someone who everyone knows, Speedo Mick.
I know.
Finished Evertonian that he is. Finished his walk this week. A walk of gratitude and has been giving money out to charities all over the country. And
he's raised something like £2,500.
Wow.
£250,000.
Yeah, £250. He's just done a one human being walking around in a pair of Speedos, literally.
Yeah, brilliant.
Done brilliantly. Liverpool John Lennon Airport. The credit will be to a lot of people, not just the one individual I used to work with who's gone there. They've secured Lufthansa to the city, which is a major coup to have Lufthansa, because it means you can fly from Liverpool anywhere in the world, but just go through Munich or Frankfurt. So I think that's fantastic. I've got loads today. Adam Rowe, comedian, who's on Live the Apollo tonight, local guy from Liverpool, which is great. There's just been loads of people doing great stuff this week. Mali, who we had on last week with his fabulous food bank.
Yeah. Sheila, have you got any grown-ups that you want to give a big shout out to?
Yeah, a big shout out to my mum for the fantastic job she's doing with my dad. Big shout out to Dom for all the love and care that he gives, not only to me but to the community of Ormskirk.
To everyone he meets. Everyone he meets, he's like that.
Ace.
Yeah,
big shout out to my team. So our mental health nurse, Julie Parkinson, my accountant, Liam Thompson, the board of trustees, God, the list is endless, Esme, Lucy, John McCormick, Norman Cunliffe, Bernie Cox, Joanne King, Moffat. Gosh, I don't think I've missed anyone else, have I? Ian Gordon from the Green Rooms, who supports us in Ormskirk, and Matt Middleton from the cycling shop in Ormskirk, who also supports us. The Edge of Ormskirk, who also supports us. The list is endless. Civic Hall, who lets us use the venue every week, and the local church, who's coming into collaboration with us as well.
Amazing.
So we're all one big community.
Brilliant. So big shout out to any grown-ups who've supported Hope Street. If we've missed you out, it's just a little oversight, isn't it? We love all the support that everybody gives. So we've come to a close, and we're basically, Sheila, it's just flown. It's gone so fast.
Yes.
A positive challenge, Shay, just a quick little tiny thing that somebody can go out and do this week.
Positive challenge. Right. Push yourself to do something every day, no matter how small it is, and praise yourself for the small wins.
Yeah, brilliant.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah, praise yourself. We always say celebrate the wins, don't we, and shout it from the rooftops, because you will be an inspiration for others. Okay. Do you have a daily mantra, Sheila, or a little mantra, or do Hope Street have a mantra that they live by that we can close the show with?
So Hope Street's a holistic lived experience support group that prevent crisis, aid recovery, and sustain mental health and well-being.
Brilliant.
That's what we do.
Amazing. Okay, so I think on that note, the thing that I went on a suicide first aid course and a mental health first aid course, and the biggest thing that I took away from it was look for the changes in behaviour. So if somebody's behaviour has changed, just ask them if they're all right. Yeah, and just be there for them. So thank you, Sheila, for coming on. It's been amazing. Time has flown massively. It's just gone so quick. Hope Street is doing an amazing job, and we'll see, we'll get you back on, I think, to find out everything else that's going on. San, thank you as ever for being as cool as ever. And we'll see everybody next week.
Oh, thank you so much, Sheila.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.